My name is Joshua Fakir, and I want to welcome you back to Timeout. Now, for our timeout together today, I want to kick off by asking you two questions. Now, you're probably thinking, Josh, why it seems like you're always kicking off our timeouts together with the question. But what I really want to do is I want to use these questions to open up your mind. You know, I once heard a quote that says, our minds are like parachutes. They work best when open. And so these two questions I want to ask you, I really want you to think about them. And I'll elaborate once I ask you these questions. So my first question to you is, do you have a bag of tricks? Do you have a bag of tricks? No, I'm not talking about the cereal. Tricks. Do you have a bag of tricks? Secondly, what is in your bag of tricks? Now, you're probably so confused, like, what are you talking about with this bag of tricks? I'm going to tell you where this thought and this question came from. So as you all probably know, about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, we had the NBA All-Star break. That's the weekend where the best players from all over the league come together and basically they put on a show for the world. Now, there's so many different events that people gravitate to. You have the skills challenge, you have the three-point challenge, you have the game itself, the rookies and the sophomores in the league gets to prove their skills. But one of the most highly anticipated events is the actual slam dunk contest. You know, this is where you can sit down and it's a Saturday evening and you can just sit back and be entertained. And this past year, it was an incredible competition. Some people were thought the ending was a little controversial, but this is what really stood out to me. And so in the slam dunk competition, the general rules is that there's two rounds, a preliminary round and a final round. And in each round, the contestants are able to do two dunks each. And the ones who has the two highest combined scores is the one who moves forward from the preliminary round to the final round. So in this case here, many of you already know Aaron Gordon and Derrick Jones Jr., they proceeded out of the first round into the final round and to compete against each other and put on a show for the world. Now here's something that's interesting that happens because there's 4 dunks that you're going to have to be able to do. And out of those 4 dunks that each contestant does, a winner is decided. But in this case, the second round, which was supposed to be the final round, was so competitive. I mean, they were bringing dunks out that people never seen before, that a winner could not be decided. And so the only way that a winner could be determined is if they added another round. Who would have thought overtime in the dunk contest? So they added a third round and they called it the dunk off. Winner takes all. And here's what's interesting to me, because some of these players, some of these contestants probably came in knowing, okay, let me pull out my best 4 dunks and I'm going to give them a show and hopefully I can win. Well, for these 2 contestants, 2 more dunks were added. Now there's a total of 6 dunks they need to do in order to come out with the victory. They already made it this far, so they got to give it everything they got. And so as the last 2 contestants are there and they're preparing to have a dunk off, you can see when one contestant is going to dunk, the other one is watching to see what his opponent is going to do. But you can kind of see in their minds, they're going through a Rolodex of dunks that they've probably done in the past that they're going to have to bring out right now. In other words, they had to go into their bag of tricks. You see, there's moments in life that you're going to have to prepare for. But then there's always also moments in life that you should already be prepared for. What do I mean by that? You see, some of these moments you notice, you have advanced notice and you can get yourself together. But then there's going to be moments where there's no notice at all. And your bag of tricks consists of things that you've been working on when nobody's watching. The things that you're working on that pertains to your dreams and your goals, when you're up late at night after everybody goes to sleep, or you're up first thing in the morning before you have to get ready for school or work. You know, this is how you fill your bag of tricks. What is in your bag of tricks? What are you working on that you're going to have to be already prepared for in case an opportunity of a lifetime comes your way without any notice? You see, there's going to be, with these opportunities that you have to know that this is whatever it is your craft is, whatever it is that you want to do in life, whatever you feel your purpose is, whatever your gift is. You know, I always say, you know, we all have been born with a purpose for a purpose. You are carrying something this whole world needs. What are you doing with that gift? How are you cultivating it? What are you doing to get your skills in order so that you can have a bag of tricks in case a moment come without advance notice? You see, I'm reminded of a gentleman by the name of Theodore Geisel. Theodore Geisel. Now I'm going to say this like I can see you, okay? But by a show of hands, who ever heard of the name Theodore Geisel? Now, some of you probably actually really raised your hand as if I can see you, but don't worry, I love it. It's all love. In fact, you get some participation points. But Theodore Geisel was a gentleman who grew up, and his passion and his gifts was to write children's books. Now, in his story, his biography, this passion actually developed when he was a child, and his mother used to read him books when he was younger, when he was a child before he went to bed. And so when he grew up, he just had this passion inside him to write, and he wrote children's books. There was only one problem. His first book that he wrote, it wasn't getting picked up by any publisher. In fact, he would go from publisher to publisher, and his book would get denied. And can you just imagine what it took to get in front of just one publisher? I mean, the channels you had to go through in order to get in front of the person at the top of the chain who has the authority and the power to make the decision whether this company is going to publish your book or not. So he would go through the channels just to get in front of one publisher, only to get rejected. Off to the next one, rejected. Do you know how many times Theodore Geisel had his book rejected? How many publishers? 27 times. He got in front of 27 publishers, and I'm not even sure in what span it was, and they all said no to his book. And so after the 27th rejection, he was leaving that 27th publisher to go home, and you know what? He had a low moment. He admitted that in his biography that he was going home to burn the manuscripts. He was like, you know what? We all get those moments in life where you just feel like throwing in the towel. But there's something interesting that happened. On his way home, he bumped into an acquaintance from college. And they began to talk and catch up. And the acquaintance noticed that he had a pile of papers, some manuscript under his arms. So the acquaintance was like, you know, what is that you're carrying? And he said, oh, it's a manuscript for a children's book that I wrote. And I've been trying to get it published. And I'm just not having any luck. 27 times, 27 no's. Well, how about that acquaintance of his was just promoted in a publishing company where, you know what kind of books they specialized in? Children's books. And so they actually had a meeting together in his acquaintance's office, and they looked over his book. And that's when he finally got a contract. And guess what? The book came out, and the name of the author on that book was Dr. Seuss. That was the name that Theodore Geisel went under when he went under writing. And it was about the Mulberry Street, if you remember that story. And that book was published in 1937. Now look at this. Theodore Geisel, affectionately known as Dr. Seuss, he had no idea that this opportunity of the lifetime, he was about to bump into it. But guess what? He didn't bump into it unprepared. He had a bag of tricks. He was writing, even after people were saying no, he never stopped believing in his dreams. And so because it was an opportunity of a lifetime that he was prepared for, his whole life changed. Here's something interesting. Because he was prepared, because he had a bag of tricks, because it wasn't something he had to prepare for, it was something he was already prepared for. Could you imagine if he bumped into his friend and say, you know, I have an idea, I want to write a book, and his friend who's an editor is probably like, how many times I heard this story? No, he was prepared. He had, you know what? In fact, this story, the script of his wasn't in his bag of tricks. In this moment, it was actually under his arm. And he said, let me show you. And because of that, his whole life changed. Dr. Seuss, Theodore Geisel, passed away in 1991. Listen to this. In 1991, he passed away. But in 2013, almost 22 years later after he passed away, his books were still selling. In fact, in 2013, Green Eggs and Ham sold more than 700,000 copies. His next book you heard of, Cat in the Hat, along with two other books of his, in the same year sold for more than 500,000 copies. Then he had 5 other books that sold for more than 250,000 copies. So between those 8 books, he sold more than 3.5 million copies in 1 year alone. He had 8 other books that was going for 100,000 copies each being sold. At one point, Theodore Geisel, Dr. Seuss, was selling 11,000 copies of his book per day. All because he was prepared for a moment he never saw coming. All because he had a bag of tricks. You see, your bag of tricks is a resources of what matters to you, of how you can. It's an actual visual of what's going on the inside that you can show to people that they can believe in your dream. Let me tell you something interesting about your dream. There's only one time that everybody in the room is going to believe in your dream. And it's after you've made it become a reality. You see, as long as it's inside and you can't put it out, people's going to hear about your dream, but everybody got a dream. The moment you get your bag of tricks together and you have resources available at your fingertips, just in case an opportunity comes up to publicly demonstrate what's going on privately on the inside of you, that's how you get people to believe. Dr. Seuss today, Theodore Geisel, he has passed away in 1991, as I said. He has sold today more than 600,000 copies of his books. In fact, I believe he had 44 books, and majority of them are still bestsellers. All because he was prepared for a moment he never saw coming. As I said, there's going to be moments in your life that you're going to have to prepare for. And then there should be moments in your life you should already be prepared for. What is in your bag of tricks? What are you working on that's going to help bring your dream to life? You have a purpose. You have a gift. There's something inside of you. I heard Steve Harvey say it like this: your gift is the thing you do the absolute best with the least amount of effort. The purpose of this timeout is not to discourage you or beat you down or make you feel bad, but on the contrary, it's here to motivate, encourage, and inspire you so that when this camera comes off, you're going to go and look at your bag of tricks and see if you have in there everything you need so that you can be prepared for a moment you may never see coming. And man, some of you may be like, you know what? I don't even know where my bag of tricks is. It's fine. Better to start late to never start at all. You see, the only thing that's unacceptable is you giving up on your purpose, on your dreams. Remember what I say, you achieving tomorrow's dreams is predicated on you not giving up today. So giving up is not an option. Take an inventory. See what's all inside of you. That dreams, those goals that you have, that greatness that you need to give birth to so that somebody's prayers can be answered because God put something inside of you. Get ready. Go look inside your bag of tricks. Prepare yourself for an opportunity you may never see coming. But when it comes, you'll be ready for it. So I want to conclude this time out together by saying this. Don't let fear stop you on working on your dreams. Go get that bag ready.
The greater the win. If you let the Savior come near and purify from within, gotta let the blessings begin. Take it from the top to the bottom. Satan will never win your heart. Use the gospel to stop him. Like a message in a bottle. God's waiting for you to find him. History's in the making if you're following the Father. Through all of the suffering and no love from the government. But I will never let this flesh and bone decide this victory. So bring the pain with no medics. Never gonna get in the way cause I'm ready. Christ gonna save the day with no delays. Everybody gonna feel his presence. This the truth that I know. Gotta give it all until I go. Man, this life